Hey YouTube, Chris from Bluegrass Media back here again, and today I'm going to be doing a computer build. It's been a while since I've done one of those. Probably, I think 2014 was the last one. Today I'm doing a build for a friend of mine on the search and rescue team. She is an attorney, a author, historian, and the search and rescue coordinator for the city of Louisville. She sent me her requirements for her new system, and I got the parts, and today we're going to put it all together and see if it works. So let's get started. Real quick, I'll go over the components that I got here. We have two B-Blaster 120mm fans. We have a Ryzen 5 2400G APU. She does not need any real intensive graphics. She's not gaming or anything like that, but she does have dual monitors and does do some occasional video editing. So the 2400G should be more than enough to suit her needs. I got 16 gigs of G-Skill Ripjaws DDR4 here. Two 1 terabyte solid state drives, which we'll be installing in RAID 1 for data protection. I got an Aorus, I think that's how it's pronounced, a Gigabyte Aorus V450i Pro Wi-Fi Mini ITX motherboard. Her specifications for her build were the motherboard needed 2 HDMI ports, built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, as many USBs as possible, and there weren't a whole lot of boards out there that have those specs. And in fact, on Newegg, the only AMD motherboard that fit those specs was the B450i. So that was pretty much all I had to go with. But the reviews on it are pretty good, and it should work fine for her uses. And for power, we have a Corsair SF450 450 watt modular power supply. And I've had a Corsair in my computer since I built it 9 years ago, and that TX650 is still going strong. It's never given me any trouble, so I have I'm totally confident that this Corsair will last her for a good long time and not give her any issues. And for our case, we are going to be using a Fractal Design Node 202. I saw some reviews and some videos on this case, and I was actually really impressed with what they were able to do with something this small. And she doesn't know what kind of case I got for her. She's kind of expecting, you know, a full ATX or an ATX mid-tower, something like that. And I'm really going to surprise her with something that's a lot smaller, sleeker, and more professional looking than what she's expecting. So those are our components. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, we'll begin by getting all the motherboard parts assembled here before we put it into the case. So let's go ahead and open the motherboard up. And you have your typical mini ITX board. Set that aside for the moment. Got the little gold corner right here and a little corner mark right there, so it should just drop right on in. There we go. Lock it in. And we're done. Let's get the cooler. Well, first let's go ahead and do the RAM before we put the cooler on, because I'm not entirely sure how much room I'm going to have once the cooler's on. So yeah, let's go ahead and put the RAM on next. Get in there. Come on now. Alright, that's one. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and clean the CPU here a bit and put on the thermal paste. Okay, I didn't have any lint-free cloths handy, so I had to grab a coffee filter, which you can use in a pinch. They're soft, they won't mar the surface of the CPU or the cooler, but they are also lint-free, so I've used these before. I grabbed two, one for the CPU and one for the bottom of the cooler. So let's go ahead and put a little alcohol in here and we'll clean up the CPU. One. Just do one more for good measure. Alright, now we'll just let that air dry. Alcohol evaporates very quickly, so we'll just let that evaporate and go ahead and clean the cooler. That's one side, and you can see there was some residue on the surface of the cooler, so it's a good thing we cleaned it. And I'll just do the back side for a second. Let's go over a second time here with the clean side of the coffee filter. And we still got even more dirt off, so I'm going to flip it over now and use the inside. So I want to make sure it's nice and clear, or nice and clean. I think we're good now, so toss that and let this air dry for a few minutes. Okay, this is my first AM4 CPU build, so I just realized that I have to take these pieces off here before I can put the cooler on. So let's go ahead and remove those. Yeah, these pieces are on here if you're using a different type of CPU cooler attachment. The kind that's on this here, you see it there, it screws into these four holes without these two brackets here. So these two brackets need to go. Okay, now that those brackets are out of the way, we can go and apply our thermal paste. Now I know that everyone on the internet is going to go absolutely nuts about the way I put my thermal paste on, because apparently no matter how you do it, you're doing it wrong. So whatever, I don't care. This is the way I've done it before and I've never had any thermal issues. I am using, what is this here? Arctic Silver Ceramic. And I use this on, I've been using this for a while now. I might have used a little too much there. We'll find out here in a second. If there's any oozing out, I can just clean it right off. No big deal. So now, let's see, where is our CPU fan header? I believe it's over here, but let me look to make sure. I was wrong. I thought the CPU fan header was this over here, but it's actually this gray one up here in the corner, which makes sense because that's typically where the CPU fan header is located. But, like I said, I haven't done this in a while. Now, you saw me set it down like this. It was not, the bottom was not making contact because these screws stick out there, so I did not set the CPU cooler right onto the desktop. Alright, now I need to get a looks like it might do it. Now I'm going to do it crossways, back and forth, because that's the way that I've always heard to do it. I like how it just stops when you're all the way in. That's a very nice design. That way you can't really over tighten it unless you're just really being stupid. Alright, CPU cooler is on. It cleared the RAM perfectly. Well, barely. It's touching the RAM just barely here, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. In fact, if I take this cover thing off, which is just cosmetic, there we go. Okay, I took the cover off, and now there is no contact at all between the RAM and the CPU cooler. So this here is just a cosmetic thing. It serves absolutely no practical purpose as far as I can tell, so it's gone. And now we got all of our motherboard components installed, at least for the moment. Obviously I'm not going to hook up the hard drives yet, so next we put it in the case. This is a Fractal Designs Node 202. I know it's kind of an odd selection for a case, but I saw some good reviews on this. Jay's 2 Cents did a really good review, overview, and build with this, and it really impressed me. I'll try to put a link to that in the description so you can decide if you want to use this case or not. And there was another one, I can't remember his name's Kyle, but I can't remember what his channel name is. He actually did a build with this where he modded it to fit an AIO, which is pretty impressive. So we're going to go ahead and get this case ready to go here and start getting the components inside. Up. Okay, I guess it's just 4 screws on the back here. Yeah, it looks like it's just 4 screws on the bottom or the back, whatever you want to call it. Alright, that screws out. Let's flip it over so you can see it. Well, there's the dust filter. Let's see if the top of this thing will come off now. Come on off of there now. There we go. Alrighty. Set that over there. Okay, we got our hardware here. Accessory box, okay. Includes zip ties. That's all. Oh, I gotta take this out because this is where the SSDs go. I do remember that. This is the SSD caddy. Just take that screw out and set that right there. Oh. There we go. Slides out like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put in the motherboard because why not? First we need to put in the I/O shield right here. Always check the orientation of your I/O shield before you put it in. I mean, you could pop it back out if it's wrong, but it's better if you just do it right the first time. Okay, looks like we are in right there. Yep, we're in. The I/O shields I've seen are. So now we go. Alright, now I need to find the motherboard screws. And apparently they are organized in here. You can see it's got motherboard screw, power supply screw, you know, different ones organized there, so you know which is which. And hopefully they're in separate bags in here. Okay, I think I got everything organized now. I'm going to use my little magnetizer here to magnetize my screwdriver. I love this whole thing. I bought it years ago. I'm still using it. It works great. You really have to have a magnetizer in order to build computers. Alright, motherboard is in. I guess let's do the case fans. Now for the case fans, I've got two high gears, what are these? B Blaster 120s, 2000 RPM, 2 ball, 120 millimeter. And they are going to be both intake. So this is going to be a positive pressure system. Okay, so I found out in order to install the fans, you have to remove the bottom cover as well so that you can remove the magnetic filters here. And now you can put the fans in from underneath. There we go. Alright, that's one in. Thing. Okay, so if you want to do two 120 millimeter fans, you got to remove the graphics card support here, which that's fine because we're not using a graphics card anyway, so it can go. I can't really tell. The power supply header here is blocking one of the holes, and I can't mount the screw, so I'm going to have to reroute that a little bit. Okay, after looking at the power supply, I'm not even going to need this little jumper right here. This thing's not even going to be needed because the power supply is going to have one in the back where the I/O is. So I don't even know why this is here in the first place. I wonder if there's a cover for it. And that goes bye-bye. Don't worry, I'll find a use for it somewhere. Now we can get the other fan installed. Alright, we got the intake fans installed. Now we can go ahead and put the dust filter back on. Magnetic dust filter there. And I think we're done with this on the bottom here, but I'll leave the bottom of the case off for now just in case I need to get at anything there. Alright, there's the CPU fan header. And I guess I can just tuck this in right here. And that'll probably be good. Not the best, not the best cable management, but that should work. Right there, just got it tucked in there. Alright, now let's see where we're going to run these fans here. Alright, so I got a fan in there. And that can just sit right there and that'll be fine. And for this one, we're going to use a Molex adapter. And that's going to go to the power supply. And I think I can go ahead and zip tie this up. So here's what we got here. It's a Corsair Sfx SF450 Sfx Power Supply. Man, this thing is tiny. It's a fully modular because look at the size, look at the space we're working with here. You know, space is a premium, so you definitely want to go full modular. But yeah, this thing's tiny. When I built my first computer and my most recent one, I used a full ATX power supply, and I couldn't imagine a 450 watt, or these things go higher than that too. They're like 650, 700 watts in an SFX form. These are tiny, man. They're getting smaller and smaller. So, and this one says silent operation at low to moderate loads. In this mode, the fan will not spin. So, keep the noise down. That's always a good thing. Alrighty. So, it's got to mount like this. Isn't it cute? And it looks like it's still got plenty of room behind it here to plug in the cables here, so I don't have to plug the cables in ahead of time. So, I like that. Okay. I think you got to take this bracket out and install it on the power supply outside the case before you mount it inside. So let's go ahead and unscrew this here. There we go. So yeah, you gotta take this piece out and attach it to the power supply, and then put the power supply in, because there's no room on this end here to screw the screw in. Okay, I got the plate attached, or frame, or whatever you call this thing. I guess it'd be a frame attached to the power supply. And now you just set it in here like so. And you gotta slide it. It's gotta engage this little slot thing here. And there you go. And now you put the screw back in the side, the retaining screw here to hold the frame in place. Alright. Power supply is in. Let's go ahead and do our front panel I/O while I'm thinking about it. Alright, there's that. Alright, that's all the cables for the case itself. I'm just kind of pre-managing some of this here, just to plan out how I'm going to cable manage it in the end. like it's not going to be too difficult overall to do cable management in this case, which is kind of surprising considering its size and how long the headers are they give you. I'm going to pull this through here. Okay, I think we're ready to start putting our power supply cables on, and then we'll be ready to do a bench test, I think. Maybe. Alright, there's that. Now getting this cable over to the CPU is going to be a little tricky. I'm going to have to probably snake it through here. Yeah. Up around. I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing. There you are. So I'm going to have to snake the CPU cable around over here like this. It goes in right here. Alright. So yeah, that's just going to have to go like that. Oh boy, this big stiff cable here is going to be a bit of a pain. Maybe not. Okay, yeah, you just go stick right in there. Try not to bend it too much, but yeah, okay, that'll work. That one. Okay, so this is the problem. This is a female Molex, and the power supply only has female Molex, which obviously doesn't work. So take this off. Sometimes I didn't include a male Molex, but whatever. So I got this here. It's only 2-pin though, so I hope it's gonna work. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be kind of a mess here that I gotta put away over here on the side. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely not gonna be the nicest looking thing, but it's not going to be seen, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, there's our SATA. Let me see about getting the drives put in. So now we're going to take a break from the case and get our drives installed. So for our drives, we're going to be using two Timetech SATA 6 gigabit 1 terabyte drives, and they're going to be in RAID 1. So we're going to have 1 terabyte of storage with redundancy, because that's what she requested. Okay, I got the drives installed in the little caddy thing here. So now we can go ahead and get those installed. I should have waited to put the cables in until after I had the hard drives in. Yeah. Okay, so there's a screw that needs to go in there, which I think is this little one here. Now I got the hard drive caddy installed, or the the drive caddy. I gotta figure out how to put all these cables in here. Okay. I actually did a better cable management job on this thing than I thought I would. So, everything's hooked up. I guess we're ready to do a bench test and see if the thing at least posts. Ah! Reboot and select a proper boot device. Insert boot media. Alright. We passed the post test. Or, well, it's redundant. Post. So it posted. Everything looks like it works good. We're ready for our operating system. Okay, we'll worry about keyboard and mouse later. It posted, so the build is good. Let's go ahead and clean up some stuff here, get it closed up, and then we'll start working on, you know, the operating system and all that stuff. Alright. Okay, so I made a little mistake when I installed this. I didn't think I was going to need the extension, power supply extension that was over here, but I am, because once you put the outer case on, this is completely blocked. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to run it over to there and use that after all, but I'll get it done. Alright, so I did a little case mod here. If you looked at it before, you saw that this area here had just a small window opening, and that's all there was to allow air to come in from the fans over the motherboard. Well, I didn't like that, so I basically just cut all of this out here since she's not going to be using a graphics card anyway. It's just going to be the fans here. I cut this whole area out here. I left this in place for structural support, but the rest of this is gone, and now there's this huge opening to let air in over the motherboard and ventilate out the top of the case. So let's go ahead and get this reassembled here, and we can start getting the software side done. Alright, we've completed all our testing, got all the software installed, operating systems up and running. Everything's good to go, so we can go ahead and seal it up here. There we go. So everything should be good, but here in a bit we're going to do a little bit of a stress test. Not really a stress test, but just, you know, run it and keep an eye on the temperatures. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, we're going to do some benchmarking now. Right now you can see that the temperature is alternating between about 27, 28 degrees and 35 degrees C. Occasionally jumps a little bit higher than that, but right now it's, you know, it's just hovering around 30, 35, somewhere in that area. And it's just idling right now. We're not running any benchmarks yet, so that's, you know, it's perfectly fine. 30 C at idle, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start up Cinebench R20. I already ran it a couple of times just for testing, and first time it was over 1700, and second time it dropped to 1649. So I've given the system some time to cool down, and we'll see how it does this time. Alright, so while that's running, let's look at our temps. Yeah, we're jumping up. We're at 64, 65. Now, she's not going to be doing anything this intensive with it, but I just wanted to see what the limits of the system were. Right now we're hovering about 73 C, which isn't terrible. The last test I did, it went up to a little over 80. CPU's at 100%, only using 45% of the RAM, which is nice. It's good to know we got plenty of overhead there. We're up at 77 now. We're at 79 now, 80. Let's see how high we're going to go this time. Down to 78. Okay, I think our test just finished because we're nosediving. Yep, we're complete. And 1722 on this test, which is pretty good. But I'm actually pretty satisfied with that. Pushed the system as hard as it would ever be pushed in its use, and the temperatures did not get that high. I mean, they got to 80, which is not great if you're gaming, but since this system's not going to be pushed that far, 80 degrees at the absolute maximum performance, that's completely acceptable, because we're not going to get near that. Let's see here, what are we? How fast did it come back down? It's coming down real quick now. We're already down into the 30s. So the cooling on it's working very well. Alright, I'm going to call that a build. Owner's taking delivery of it on Sunday, so let's wrap it up and we're done. So thanks for watching. Please, you know, like, comment, subscribe, what the YouTubers always say. You know, I could always use the subscribers. And I'll have more stuff coming up soon. In fact, I'm going to be doing a build for myself here in the very near future. As soon as I can find the modular cables for my power supply, I can do my own build. They seem to have disappeared on me. So, see you here soon. Thanks for watching.